Hey, everybody, and welcome to this snack-sized edition of the last IT podcast in the world. I'm David. He's Derek. Let's get into it. We haven't talked about RTO for a while, Derek. It's been quiet on this podcast, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just tell the people who are new just how we throw that acronym around.
Return to office. So the post-COVID end of remote work for some organizations.
Hey, everybody, we've completely changed our minds from what we told you 2 to 3 years ago.
Exactly. You know how we said this was fine and great and innovative? Actually, it's impossible.
It's the future? No, it's the past. It works? No, it doesn't work. You're productive? No, you're not. So lots of battles, we call it the RTO wars, going on in this, and lots of employees or talent like me and you saying, you know what? I like this. I like working remote. I like working from home. I can do my job just fine. I might need to come in once in a while, but don't need to be around hundreds of my coworkers every single day.
Yep, exactly right.
You're still getting work done, I assume.
Yep, and quite a bit more because there's no. I have a private office here, which I probably would not have in in a office environment, and didn't have much of my career. So, that's
someday
great.
I'll have to talk about the open office semi-fad. Some big fans I know in leadership about the open office. And
I mean, they look cool. They look cool on Instagram. I will give them that. Like, they look really cool.
But there's actually science on that. But anyway, good point. So there's a headline that caught our attention that we want to talk about with our listeners, and I think there's a lot more to the story that we're going to kind of dive into. But it's a pretty shocking headline, and it's from a company that's sort of headquarters in your neck of the woods, I believe.
Very close.
Dell, our friends at Dell. Hey, at Dell, happy to have you and your HR team or your leadership team on the podcast and talk about how you feel about this becoming public. That's the other thing. Like, this was probably an internal memo, and now it's public. Here's the headline. Dell tells remote workers that they won't be eligible for promotion. And this is an Ars Technica article. And it says, starting in May, Dell employees who are fully remote will not be eligible for promotion. The upcoming policy update represents a dramatic reversal from Dell's prior stance about work from home. Which included CEO Michael Dell saying, if you are counting on forced hours spent in traditional office to create collaboration and provide a feeling of belonging within your organization, you're doing it wrong. That's the before times.
Right.
So Michael Dell now admitting he's doing it wrong by his own words. If you're counting on forced hours to create culture and collaboration, you're doing it wrong, said he a while back ago. Now he's changing his mind. So anyway, I won't go too much into the details, but to be considered for applying for an internal position, you're already working at Dell. You've already been hired for Dell. They at some point approved you to be working where you're working, which is maybe not near a Dell office. Now to be considered for even internal, I read in the details, even applying for another job, even laterally in the company, must be classified as at least hybrid, which they count as 39 days a quarter, which is roughly 3 days a week. Otherwise, you can apply all you want, but you're not going to be considered for either the lateral job or a promotion.
Oof.
It's just a terrible, first of all, like, just gut level check, terrible idea.
Like the message, I mean, maybe it's intentional, but like, if you tell any category of your employees that you're not eligible for promotion, whether you're close to one or seeking one or not, that's like, we're going to Indeed and LinkedIn jobs board pretty quick after that, right? Like, that's not somewhere you want to be.
Which they're obviously fine with. This is the way of having a layoff without having a layoff, is to force people to look for a job. The question is, are those remote people all like low end, crummy, unproductive people that you're willing to get rid of? I doubt it. There's probably some really great people who are like, you know what, I guess I'm changing jobs.
Yep.
So they're forcing some people. Let's see if we can spitball 5 reasons that should not get you a promotion. I'll go first. Because you play golf with the boss, that shouldn't get you a promotion. You got any other ideas? What should not get you a promotion?
Let's see.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. Not getting your work done would be
not getting your work done. Everybody likes you. You're the office jokester, so that's not a reason for getting a promotion. Let's skip ahead. What is a good reason for giving someone a promotion?
Performance.
They do good work.
They do good work. They do a lot of good work.
They meet expectations. They communicate well. They collaborate well with others, all which just goes into doing good work. So they're basically saying, hey, at Dell says to their employees, dear employees, we don't care about any of that anymore. We don't, I mean, the good work stuff, the collaboration, the on time, the deadlines, reliable, super supportive, help your coworkers when they need help. You answer questions, you're available. We don't care about any of that anymore. Because we have one thing. I would like to
see you 3 times a week. If I see you, come say hi.
Oh, by the way, we'll be checking your badge swipes to make sure you're actually coming in 3 times.
Oh, really?
That's what I care about. Well, I don't know about Dell, but many companies are using badge swipes because it's hard. Like there's not like a we're not punching clocks. A lot of these knowledge workers,
right?
So badge swipes. Like, did I see on average 3 badge swipes from Derek at the Dell office for last month? Yes or no?
38 badge swipes this quarter. Sorry.
That feels kind of icky too, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. Are there managers at these companies that know what people are doing or where they're coming? I guess not. So anyway, we've reached the point in the RTO wars where the only thing that matters as far as career advancement, they're not saying there's exceptions. They're not saying if you're an exceptional worker, nope, there's not exceptions.
It's a big, crude, blunt instrument decision, right?
It's the first filter. When a resume comes in for an internal job, what's the first filter? Are they classified as hybrid? No.
Yep.
I don't need to know one other thing about that person. Just nope. Into the dustbin.
It's like the joke about the manager that gets all the pile of resumes and throws half of them away and says, we don't want unlucky people working here.
I had not heard that, but I love it, and it's appropriate. Very good. Yeah, it is just like that. So in a way, I think this headline is, we're going to discriminate against remote workers. We're going to openly discriminate against remote workers. So let's take the headline. Let's play a game where we take out remote workers and we put something else in it and see how it reads. Dell tells blank that they won't be eligible for promotion. Do you want to? It's uncomfortable, isn't it?
This seems fraught.
Dell tells blank that they won't be eligible for promotion.
Okay, I think there's some obvious problematic ways that could go, but we could say Texas residents.
Yeah.
Just say, if you work in Texas office, you can't be promoted. Sorry.
Same thing. Yeah. This part of the country we don't like specifically.
Right.
How about this? Dell tells single mothers that they won't be eligible for promotion.
Now, can you imagine?
We've read a lot of articles about single parents. I said mothers, but single parents, and we'll talk about some more, who really like remote work, some of them, because they can get their kids off to school. They can be here when they come home. They might save on daycare, all still while getting their job done. They do that. They have flexible hours, right?
Right.
So Dell tells, Dell didn't really do this, but we're playing a game to see how it sounds. That sounds terrible. So single mothers. What, you got another one?
Mac users.
Mac users. Dell tells Mac users they won't be eligible for promotion, right? Because Dell's more
which at Dell being but Dell does a lot of software, so they would actually have some Mac users. But
yeah, just carve out this whole group of people, not know anything about them, and say not eligible for promotion. How about disabled? How about the disabled? Dell tells the disabled they won't be eligible for promotion. Let me connect the dots.
Yeah,
you are a wheelchair-bound worker. And although you are able to go out and sort of wrangle your wheelchair into the back of your vehicle and drive and find a parking, and probably not enter the most accessible office generally, I've talked to some people, the world is not as accessible as we'd like it to be.
Right.
Hey, you've got to wrangle that thing and sort of, wrestle your way into an office 3 days a week.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, I chose sort of wheelchair bound there, but I've read articles about how remote work and sort of the advancements in how computers work and the things that they can do to overcome, like even blind workers and deaf workers are able to find jobs they wouldn't traditionally be able to do. And if you're blind, it would be very hard probably to get yourself into an office 3 days a week. So
Well, and I see where you're going with that. Those are great examples where, I mean, almost certainly the people that are going to be remote and have a hard time not being remote are going to disproportionately be parents, single parents, disabled people. Like, that's a very good point. You're discriminating without discriminating.
Yeah, I've got one more. I don't know if you've got one yet. I've got caregivers. I read a lot of stories about COVID, how people moved closer to an ailing family member, an aging parent, a parent who had lost their spouse during COVID, to help them with everything, caregiving.
Yeah.
And they literally changed geography to do that because they didn't live next door to each other.
Yeah.
So, and there are a lot of these stories about what a great thing remote work was. So now Dell tells caregivers that they won't be able to be eligible for promotion. So make a choice. Like you want to care for your aging parents that you moved to be close to because we said you could, because Michael Dell said you could.
Yep.
Well, too bad. Oh, you can keep doing that. You'll just never, ever receive a promotion again. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I like to do that sometimes in life. Like, what if I change this phrase? Like, what does it sound like? And now if we go back to Dell tells remote workers they won't be eligible for promotion, it's not as bad as those examples, but in effect, that's what they're saying. All of those examples.
Yeah, there's a definite disproportionate impact. And
so we should, way to go, Dell. You've made the news, and now we all think kind of slightly terrible things about you.
So,
and if
congrats on doing it wrong, in your own words.
I will @ you on LinkedIn when I post this podcast. And if you want to come on and say, well, here's our point of view, I would love to hear your thinking. I'm not in your meetings and the pros and cons, but
and I think what we've talked about is, if you make a decision that you need people in office, I may not agree with that, but that's your business and that's your right to proceed that way, right? This kind of half measure where you're sort of trying to create forced attrition and not own the decision and the consequences and the impact of that, of getting people to leave on their own. Because again, if you'd relocated and made a decision, hey, we're moving our corporate headquarters to, Charleston, South Carolina, and if you can't move, we have, typically like a severance package or something involved with that, because they made that decision and you were there. But they're not really owning it to that level here. It's very sneaky.
You make a good point about any private business in America has a right to establish its non-law breaking policies. As as long as you're within the laws of the land, you can make whatever policy you want. Absolutely 100% agree. Also agree that people can vote with their resumes to not apply to work at your place, or as you said, vote with their resumes to leave working for Dell. Or if I'm a sideline commentator like me, criticize this as not the best strategy,
right,
or a good look. It's not a good look to have these headlines bouncing around for your company.
Yeah.
But if we haven't learned anything in the last 10 years, like nothing stays internal. Nothing stays internal. Right. And this made it externally because other people feel like it's pretty egregious. Right. Yeah. Good job. PR department, @PR, @Dell, @HR, Dell. Come on, we'll be fair and friendly. We are friendly folk here. So, but not a bad look not a good look. I mean, as where we sit right now. So, yeah. All right.